Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the incredibly sophisticated business ecosystem operating right under our noses every single time we fill up our cars. Millions of us pull up, pump, pay, and drive off without a second thought about how these places actually make a profit. It seems pretty obvious, right? Well, actually, it's a brilliantly designed retail trap hiding in plain sight.
It's kind of wild when you stop and think about it. These stations are literally everywhere. They occupy prime, expensive real estate. They've got massive bright canopies lit up 24/7, security cameras, and a whole team of staff. But here is the absolute kicker. They usually only earn a few pennies of profit on every gallon or liter they pump. So, how on earth do they afford all that overhead if their star product is barely breaking even?
Well, to wrap our heads around this, we really need to completely redefine what a gas station actually is. If you think they're in the business of selling fuel, you're missing the big picture. Fuel is just the bait. It's literally just a giant magnet designed to get your car to stop moving. The real money, the actual profit machine, doesn't even start up until you take your keys out of the ignition.
Section 1. Where does the fuel price go? Breaking down a $70 fill-up.
Let's track where your money actually goes. Say you hand over $70 at the pump. You're basically paying everyone except the person who owns the station. The lion's share goes straight to the crude oil producers. Then you've got the refineries, the transport trucks, and the storage facilities taking their cuts. Oh, and don't forget heavy government taxes and credit card processing fees. After that whole parade of expenses, the station owner is left holding this microscopic, tiny sliver of your original $70. And honestly, it gets worse for the owner because that tiny sliver isn't even pure profit. Out of those fractions of a cent, they still have to pay for the whole shebang. Employee salaries, sky-high electricity bills to keep the place glowing at 2 in the morning, rent, insurance, and fixing broken pumps. By the time the dust settles, the actual take-home profit from just selling you fuel is shockingly small. Section 2. The real profit machines. What happens after you park? So if the fuel isn't making money, what is? Well, fuel creates something way more valuable than gas money. It creates massive, guaranteed foot traffic. Think about your own routine. You stop because your tank is empty. But then, you wander inside. You grab a cold bottle of water. Now, that water bottle easily has a profit margin of 50 or 60%, while the fuel you just pumped is barely scratching 1 or 2%. It's crazy. Fuel is one of the absolute lowest margin products in all of retail, but those convenience store impulse buys, the margins are astronomical. Because of this setup, modern stations are basically retail Swiss Army knives. They aren't just gas pumps anymore. They've morphed into convenience stores, fast food joints, Amazon locker hubs, and ATM hotspots. Every single one of these add-ons is a totally separate revenue stream, deliberately designed to subsidize the low-margin fuel sitting out on the driveway. Take a look at coffee and car washes. These two are the undisputed heavyweight champions of this whole ecosystem. Think about it. Once they pay for the car wash machinery or those fancy commercial espresso makers, each individual wash or cup of coffee costs them practically nothing to produce. Yet they're selling thousands of them every single day at premium prices. Those high-margin sales add up super fast. Section 3. The battlefield. Competition and dynamic pricing. A few cents. That is literally all it takes to make or break a station's entire day. Because fuel is a basic commodity, local competition is absolutely cutthroat. If the guy across the street drops his price by just 2 pennies, he's going to steal hundreds of customers who will happily do a U-turn for a cheaper pump. This means station owners have practically zero wiggle room to just raise fuel prices whenever they feel like it. And they aren't just battling the station across the street, they are totally at the mercy of massive global forces. We're talking shifting oil markets, refinery bottlenecks, seasonal spikes, you name it. Even a hurricane hitting a coast thousands of miles away can mess up the supply chain. Because these global prices swing so wildly, local stations often have to tweak their street signs multiple times a week, sometimes even multiple times a day, just to stay above water. With all this chaos, owners have adopted a pretty clever philosophy. Most of them would actually rather make a tiny profit or even take a loss on your fuel than lose you as a customer entirely. Why? Because they're playing the long game. A loyal regular who buys gas, grabs a coffee, and gets a car wash every single week is worth way more to the business than a random driver who just stops for gas once.
This right here is exactly why they are always pushing you to download their loyalty apps for free coffee and cash back. Make no mistake, these aren't just friendly gifts, they're incredibly smart tracking systems. By figuring out exactly which high-margin snacks you love, they can hit you with personalized deals. It's a surefire way to guarantee you keep coming back and keep their actual profit center, the convenience store, humming along. Section 4. The future of fuel, adapting to the electric era.
Now, you might be wondering, what happens to all these places when electric vehicles really take over? Will gas stations just go extinct? Well, look at the history. We went from simple hand-cranked punks in the 20th century to massive convenience megastores today. Tomorrow, they're just going to become EV charging hubs. The industry isn't dying, it's adapting. In fact, EVs are pretty much the holy grail for their underlying business model. Seriously, station owners are actually thrilled about the EV transition. Here's why. Charging a battery takes a lot longer than pumping gas. Instead of leaving in 5 minutes, EV drivers are basically a captive audience for 20, 30, maybe even 40 minutes. For a business model that relies entirely on selling you high-margin lattes, hot dogs, and car washes, being forced to hang out longer is an absolute goldmine. It gives them so many more chances to get you to walk inside and open your wallet. So let's bring it all together. The very next time you pull in for a quick fill-up, take a look around. Are you really just buying fuel? Or have you stepped into a masterfully designed ecosystem built entirely around foot traffic, convenience, and human psychology? I guarantee, once you see the hidden gears turning behind every pump, you will never, ever look at a quick pit stop the same way again. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and remember to keep questioning the everyday systems right in front of you.